Exodus is a disaster. It's an absolute woke mess. It is one of the easily worst things that I have seen in the last couple of years. And there are so many people around the internet saying, oh, look at this. It's the next Mass Effect. Oh, it's gonna be so good. No, it's not. Have you seen the trailers? It looks like woke slop from beginning to end. And in the middle, it's a slop cake. I mean, it's one of the worst things easily that you can see when it comes to space games in general. And there are people saying, oh, it looks so good. Which part? There's honestly not a single part of it that looks good. Not a single part. What are you, what kind of crack are you smoking? Wait, what is this? What are these opinions? Are you insane? What part of it looks good?
Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and I hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Now, you may be wondering, you want to return the question. Maddie, how are you doing? That's
good.
how I'm doing. I'm a bundle of nerves now, man. Exodus, this last trailer was kind of nice. I mean, we have no reason to doubt, right?
It was bad. It was stupid. It didn't make sense. I feel bad.
James Olen at the lead. He's the lead designer of KOTOR.
James Olen. We checked who he is. This is a blatant lie. That guy, maybe 15 years ago, yes, sure. Better than not, yeah, okay. Give him something 15 years ago. But now in the modern age, keep anything away from him. That guy has lost absolutely any relevance, okay? Zero good things under his belt in the last 15 years. 15 years ago, okay, give it to him. He has made Mass Effect, he has made this and that. It's good. But now, Anthem, Andromeda, Dragon Age the Veil God, my god, that guy is a walking disaster. He is just there, stealthily, waiting to ruin some game that someone allows him to. Dude, the gaming industry is so unbelievably filled with Nepo babies. It's actually not Nepo babies. There's a different term. What is this? Nepotism or something like that? I forgot what it's called. But it's effectively, you get fired from one AAA company because you're a woke activist, and you get hired in another. That's how the gaming industry seemingly works. Oh, look at that guy. 52 trillion years ago, in the time of the dinosaurs, he had a concept of a good game that was never even made in the first place. Let's entrust him in a $300 million budget project. No, horrible. And this thing, Exodus, by the way, is sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. If you do not know what Wizards of the Coast is, Just don't. Just ignore anything Wizards of the Coast. It's one of the Wizards of the Coast is one of the most incompetent companies that has ever existed. They have had money printing machine, one after another, multiple times. It is insane. Wizards of the Coast have no idea what they're doing. Their company was ran by a woman who sold cigarettes. It's a toy company, by the way, if you did not know. The CEO was a woman who sold Marlboro cigarettes. And she sunk the company even lower, by the way, which was expected. And now it's worse. Now it's some guy from Blizzard who no one even knows who he is. Wow. Okay, listen, my nightmares could be better CEOs at Wizards of the Coast at this point.
Karpyshyn writing this thing. He wrote KOTOR, wrote Mass Effect. Like, we're in good hands. We're looking at what could be the next Mass Effect. This Interstellar meets Mass Effect RPG.
Lies.
So ambitious, so exciting. An archetype really envisioning beyond games, an entire universe here with Hasbro. All the potential is there. We did get a slight delay with this trailer, early 2027. Found that to be a little bit deflating, but you saw my reaction on stream. Overall, liked what I saw. I was ready to go. Well, that delay combined with this news doesn't really leave me in the most excited or optimistic of spots to be in, because to jump ahead a little bit here, when
Yeah, that was just some kind of video log from him, I guess.
And we saw that Archetype Studios was founded. James Olen, the studio head, said that he wanted to model things after BioWare. He thought they did a really good job there. Well, in the most BioWare thing of all time, a major lead has exited the project before it's complete.
Good.
And so that's what we're going to talk about today, because
He's talking about the CEO, by the way. The literal CEO of the whole thing left and said, "Oh, it's finished, so, there's no need for me any longer." Yeah, I believe that.
the studio head in James Olen, not like a director or a lead animator or whoever, the studio head has stepped down. Now there's some
By the way, the CEO technically count as studio head in this situation, or am I getting it a little bit mixed up? I think there's no difference between, because the studio head is the CEO, right? I have no idea, because it's kind of strange. Oh, it's the studio head. And that's the person who does everything. So he's the CEO. I have no idea. It's so complicated. It's like some movie garbage.
nuance to this. It may not be all doom and gloom. It seems like James is still with Hasbro, but just doing something else. But I've just seen this story with BioWare so many times before, funny enough, where I'm like, yeah, a major lead like that exiting well before the project's launch date is never super encouraging, especially with, as we're going to go through here.
These faces are... What was the game with the super stupid and bad faces? I forgot what it was called. But this is gonna be one more, because every single shot that we have of the main protagonist is like, trains, big train. Yeah, it's not good.
Some old comments, the ambitions for this team that were set back in 2019, 2020, to kind of go from that to, yeah, we're leaving before even the first major game in this franchise ships. Definitely not encouraging news at all. So let's read this report from Bloomberg, start breaking it down from there. If you're new here and you're into what's going on with Exodus, we're still on the...
Listen, like the video, just do that, okay? It's fine. Like the video right now. It helps out a lot, by the way, so please do it. It helps out the channel greatly, and I do appreciate it. It takes less than a second, and I guarantee you, if you like the video, more people will see it. And if you think that this is important, then definitely like the video. Thank you.
This train, baby. We're still going to keep riding it to launch. Consider subscribing. So, first and foremost, here's what Bloomberg writes. Hasbro, the toy and gaming company, is bringing in a new executive to lead the expanding video game...
Hasbro does not consider itself a gaming company. I'm pretty sure they don't.
...effort under its Wizards of the Coast
Everything they have made gaming related in the past 30 years has literally set itself up aflame.
label. Blizzard veteran and Dreamhaven Incorporated co-founder Paul Delabita will take over Wizards of the...
I tried to look up who Paul Delabita is and what are his, achievements and accolades. Yeah, there's none. There's none. Guy literally just worked at Blizzard. Congratulations. Now you're the CEO of Hasbro. Good luck. That's his story.
The Coast Digital Ventures division under Wizards president John Haidt. Also a Blizzard veteran, Hasbro said in a statement to Bloomberg on Wednesday. James Olen, co-founder of the company's Archetype Entertainment Studio, developer of the upcoming game Exodus, will step aside.
Yeah, I just Googled him again. And nothing has changed. Paul Delabita, World of Warcraft 2004. That is it. That is it. Nothing else. He has a LinkedIn page. I'm not going to share the screen. I'm just going to yap a little bit, okay? He has a LinkedIn page that's literally just nothing. It's impressive, okay? It is impressive that someone has a smaller signature on the internet than my personal life.
Key thing I want to frame for you all here before we continue is that James doesn't speak for himself. And I feel like that's something that's also pretty significant in here. Like, he has no public statement yet outside of what Hasbro is saying for him. And this is what they say, quote, "At this stage, James felt his work on the game was complete and that the polish..."
What Hasbro said for him. Yeah, I trust Hasbro. They made Lord of the Rings black, if you did not know.
And tuning were in great hands with the team, said Abby Hodes, vice president of corporate communications for Hasbro in the statement.
The only thing I regret about the Lord of the Rings set release of Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, is the fact that there was no card named Black Orc Families, okay? That's the only thing I regret.
Hodes added that Olen had asked to shift his creative focus to tabletop role-playing games and would stay on as a creative consultant for the company. The intellectual property for Exodus was established that it could not just be a base for video games, but a bunch of other things as well, Archetype co-founder and general manager Chad Robertson said in an interview last week. He called it the tip of the spear for Hasbro's entry into big budget games. So on one hand, it's good to know Olen is involved as a creative consultant. Like, he's there. He hasn't left Hasbro entirely. It looks like a shift of focus. Your leaders should be leading from the trenches. I don't think they should be falling back as you're approaching launch and saying, okay,
Very cool.
I created, you guys do all of the hard work. And I don't mean that as a personal slight, of course, to James Olen. I have deep respect for him and obviously all of the work that he's done in his career. I just look at this and I think it reads a little wrong, where I'd like to hear what he actually had to say about his exit from the company. Now, to frame this a little bit more, I want to be fair about something. It's that, number one, James hasn't been, I think, the face for Exodus for close to a year now. If you go to their YouTube channel, I mean, you'll see they kind of do this D&D like,
oh, what the hell is this?
Campaign called the Star Heist Story. It's not really what I think a lot of people show up for when they're watching.
Is this the thumbnail? I think this is the thumbnail, boys. Congratulations, pat yourselves on the back. We did it once again. Free real estate, baby.
Exodus content. We're here for like the lore, and we're here for, of course, things like new trailers, Q&As, those sorts of things. The last Q&A that James was in was 11 months ago. Every single time, though, Chad Robertson, the studio co-founder and general manager, is there, and they were bringing in new faces each and every time, whether it was Drew Karpyshyn or the game's director. Like, Olen wasn't really a forward face this last year or so, so this could have been in the plans for a while. The other thing you'll notice is that they did an interview series called Archetype Access, and the first episode was the studio GM in Chad Robertson, and the second one was their gameplay animator. So,
okay, am I the only one who looks at this and I'm thinking like, okay, xenomorphs, huh? We have been invaded. It turns out alien Earth, very accurate.
And the second one was their gameplay animator. So I think the obvious thing to do here a year ago was to lead with someone like James Olen, but he wasn't in that either. So again, there may have been this plan in place of like, once we're done.
Maybe this is the thumbnail, boys. I mean, listen, okay? Listen. I don't know. No one cares about Exodus, so Daddy needs a good thumbnail, okay? Listen, it is what it is. I didn't make the rules, you did.
Creating the content, James is done, and so if it's content complete and they're just
Oh, by the way, this is a rare frame of how bad Exodus is gonna be, because this is the obvious vomit that's the key to everything, and it will save the universe. It's fine, don't worry about it.
James is done, and so if it's content complete and they're just polishing, then yeah, there's no more creative need for James Olen.
Exodus is not about the end, it was about the Vogue on the way, okay? That's what it is.
That's the only out he's getting for at least me right now, is if that ends up being the case. But again, I'm trying to use the rational part of my brain here. BioWare's taught me this before. I interviewed Mark Dara. We talked about Dragon Age the Veilguard there. He said that him leaving as executive producer in the middle of that project really hurt it. He said it probably should have been canceled because he left. He talked about Anthem and how when Casey Hudson left and Casey Hudson had pitched that project, that you couldn't really argue with a ghost. So when a major lead is out on any sort of...
These people, by the way, okay? We have so many strange, like, high-level executives, CEOs, producers, or whatever you want to call them in gaming, and this guy is one of them. We have watched a couple of his videos, and all of them have these, like, insane, crazy ways that they think that gaming, game development should be done, and, you know, things like that, and it's always some kind of wild, rambly BS that, like, very obviously does not work if your team is not competent. Effectively, it does nothing to make your work better or more on point. It's just like Yoga Tuesdays. It's the Gen Z boss in a mini. This is the male version of it. These people are literally the male version of that TikTok. Oh my god. It is insane. It is insane.
That you couldn't really argue with a ghost. So when a major lead is out on any sort of level, I think it does hurt the project. Let's go to an article from gamesindustry.biz where James Olen joined Wizards of the Coast before we even knew it was called Archetype Entertainment. And he said, quote, I had pretty well turned down most opportunities for interviews to get back into the industry, but I talked to Wizards of the Coast president Chris Cox, and he gave me a scenario that was very intriguing and interesting. So I flew up to Seattle and sat down with the Wizards of the Coast for 6 hours of interviews. It was like that scene out of The Godfather where it was an offer that was too good to refuse. That offer was to run a new Wizards of the Coast development studio based in Austin where Olen was already living. And even though Olen had a storied history with Wizards of the Coast Dungeons & Dragons property because he worked on things like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights, this new studio had a mandate to focus on creating original intellectual properties. And he said, I think it's more personal than the projects I was working on in the latter half of my career at BioWare and EA. The projects in the early days of BioWare were very personal to me. D&D had been a huge part of my life since I was 8 years old. The Baldur's Gate games were very personal to me, and Star Wars is another thing that I love. This is just an opportunity to work on projects as personal to me as the good old days of the 90s and early 2000s. In that time, work wasn't work for me at all. I didn't think of the work I was doing to be anything but a labor of love. It was the most fun. I would prefer to be working on one of my games than going on vacation. I was a little bit of a workaholic because I loved it. I can kind of relate to this. And Wizards is giving me an opportunity to return to those personal projects. Reading that and then reading Abby's statement where she says that he felt his time with the game was complete and he wanted to shift his creative focus to tabletop role-playing games and just consult creatively for the company, I think it kind of reads consistently on one level to...
No, it does not. No, it does not. I'll tell you a secret about life in general. Can you trust a man who just literally starts something then gives up at the finish line? No. Can you trust a man who starts something and then gives up halfway and pretends it's all fine? No, obviously not. So, can we trust this dude in general? The answer would be no, obviously. So, if we go by this logic, by my principle, then we cannot actually believe anything or have high hopes for anything that he has done. So there you go. Fancy.
Me. But on the other level, there's like this whole thing about this seems like the too good to refuse offer, and you're stepping down before the game even ships, where like Exodus could become this big popular thing, and if it's this big popular thing, then you could do more creative endeavors within this universe. Like, all you have to do is look at some surrounding products to see the thinking behind this franchise. They already have a book written by Peter Hamilton. They have another book that's in development. They have an entire D&D like series. Like, this was supposed to be a big wide scale thing where you could kind of Warhammer 40k it or Warhammer Dark Tide it. Like, there's just all these different eras in this universe and races in this universe, and it could be anything. It could be a show, a book, a tabletop game. It could be any of these. So if he's looking for creative endeavors, I think the goal of this franchise was for it to support all these things that he loves. So him stepping away from it almost entirely just to consult doesn't read right to me. You didn't even get to see your baby born into the world and what it turns into, unless, and I'm sorry I have to go there, unless you're like, this isn't quite shaping up how I imagined it. I would like to go do something else because I just want to create things and be passionate about things. And maybe once you're in the fine-tuning, polishing phase, that's just hard, grimy work, man. Like, it's passion channeled in a different way. So I don't think...
Wait. This bear stuff, it's kind of hilarious. Look at this.
That's just...
Okay, so there's Big Bear. Weighs probably literally a couple of tons, plus it has like metal things in it, right? Random femboy drops on the bear.
Just hard, grimy work.
Oh, boom. That's right, bear. Because reasons, obviously. I mean, obviously a feather can take down a mountain. Obviously, 60 kilogram twink with a skirt can make something that weighs probably multiple trucks collapse when you just, slightly tiki down on it. Makes sense. Checks out. Not even gonna question anything.
And like, it's passion channeled in a different way. So I don't think James is above that. But again, there's only so many ways I can read into this. Now, when you look at what Exodus has shown us so far in its marketing campaign, those who have paid close attention will know that the main thing that they have not shown us is dialogue and choice and consequence. If I saw this in action, I would be considerably less concerned about where Exodus is as a video game, because the main selling point, at least for me on this game, has been this interstellar RPG idea of like, you have Earth dying, you're going out on an exodus, you come back, time has passed dramatically, and Earth has changed in the time you're away. The characters have changed in the time you're away. That promise was so exciting, so tantalizing, and obviously was so Mass Effect coded in this choice and consequence sort of approach where like the choices you make would change this home world. Like, that was so cool. But we've seen everything but that. We've seen gameplay.
Is that my... Well, why would... Well, that's lag.
We've seen all...
Okay, let's check that again. Is that me?
World. Like, that was so cool. But we've seen...
Oh, no, that is definitely Mr. Matty, huh?
Everything but that. We've seen gameplay. We've seen all of the companion characters. We've seen our main character. We've seen full cutscenes. Like, we've seen so much, boss fights even. But we have yet to see dialogue in a way of like selecting what you say, if that's even in the game. That's the thing we don't even know. I thought it was a safe assumption, like this was, you know, June Aslan was our next shepherd sort of, but we haven't seen that, and how these choices occur and then how they react. But right now, the lack of showing this feature, a slight delay, Olen out. I'm not spelling disaster because I do think that would be unfair.
I am
right now, but the pattern from BioWare has taught me this never means a good thing. And I think fooling yourself into completely trusting what's happening with Archetype is just asking to get burned again. Now, they can prove us wrong. You know, all the other talent is still there. If we start to see like Drew's out, Chad's out, everyone's out, like then it's a moment of, ooh, okay. If it's just Olen and everyone else stays
this was a cool part.
The course the whole time, you know, I think maybe then we'll be all right. But I've just seen this kind of thing with BioWare before, where like one leaves and then another leaves within the next year. So keep in mind, a year after we had the announcement of Archetype, Drew Karpyshyn announced in 2020 he was joining to work on Exodus. So was his involvement mainly attached to James? And now that James is out, is Drew out? And he might say, my work on the writing is done, I'm gonna go do something else now. Like, that's the...
It's useless. This thing is completely dead in the water. There is no hope. There's nothing. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty. Placed 10 out of 10. Bye.